Hi, I'm artist Jenny Floravita and welcome back to my art studio. Would you like to learn to paint a beautiful pink anthurium and its leaves? I'm going to show you how I approach this subject in watercolor. I'm going to tape this paper down because I'm using Arches 140 pound cold press today, and if you tape it down it won't warp. One of the advantages to Arches cold press 140 pounds is that the color pigments will stay on the top, and this is nice because you can get your painting colors vibrant more quickly than you could if you were using like a 300 pound paper. A 300 pound paper you don't need to tape down or staple down, and this is what I often use for my larger works. But I wanted to be able to show you in fewer layers how you can capture the beautiful essence of anthuriums. So my first steps are, I'm going to put down background colors for these beautiful flowers. They have subtle tones of pinks and soft colored golds and even soft greens. And I'd like to try and capture some of those colors first, and then we're going to layer on top of those and get the detail. So you're seeing me use raw sienna, and I'm using Pink Opera by Daniel Smith, and the raw sienna is a Winsor Newton watercolor professional paint color. These are the colors that I'm going to be using for majority of the Pink Anthurium base color. I'm also dropping in small amounts of permanent rose, and this is a Winsor Newton professional color as well. And you can see on my palette on the right hand side, I'm mixing the colors. It's not necessarily just a color straight out of the tube. I like to be able to have my colors mix freely in an open space, and that gives you nice subtle variations. And I wasn't sure which of the two pinks that I was going to use the most of, but for a majority of this painting, I'm using the Daniel Smith color. And I'll tell you that the Opera Pink is pinker, literally it's a pinker color. And then the Permanent Rose by Winsor Newton, it has a little bit more of a red hint hue to it. And I think you can see that on the palette above. And now you can see with the leaves, I'm doing the same technique. We're going to be looking at the base color of the leaves, and in these leaves I see very soft blue hues that go in and out of soft violets, and the colors are like, they're sometimes only 5 or 10% of the color's natural hue of its full pigment strength. I'm going to use some of those lightest colors, and I'm using a combination of permanent sap green, and that's a Winsor Newton Professional Artist Series color, cobalt blue, again Winsor Newton, and I'm using a little bit of Winsor Violet Dioxide. And these are all Winsor Newton colors. And at the very end, I'm going to introduce a couple more hues, but for a majority of the leaf underpainting colors, this is what I'm seeing. And I love the cool colors of the violet. I'm putting that in last because it can be kind of a strong pigment. And with the cobalt blue, funny enough, I'm just seeing more of that. Even though these are green leaves, I'm seeing a lot of blue in the leaves in the base color. One more interesting thing about these leaves is the top of the leaf is very shiny, And this is where, like, when raindrops hit it, it gets a really nice sheen. The top of the leaves they're bluer and they're deeper greens. And then when the leaves fold under, you're going to notice it's more of a kind of a green gold color. It's a brighter color of green. This could be because the underside of the leaves don't see as much sunlight and the top side of the leaves just see a different amount of sunlight. But they are different colors. The under color and then the top color. It's just, I find it to be very interesting. So now I'm adding another color to the palette, and it's green gold, and it's a Daniel Smith color. And I love this color. It's just a very vibrant, almost fluorescent green, and it's got a little bit of a mustard color in it. I could have probably mixed a raw sienna with the permanent sap green and gotten something similar, or mixed another yellow color, like maybe like a Windsor lemon color, and that could have also captured the green gold. So if you don't have some of these paint colors, experiment and see what you can get that would be close to the color that you need. And I'm referring generally to this painting or any painting where you're just trying to achieve a color. Sometimes you have to experiment. So now to get that wonderful sheen, and like I said, with these flowers, what makes them interesting is they bend in all different ways, and they're very papery, and you get all these different kind of surface shapes. Some of them are diamonds, and just I find this to be a very interesting flower. So how I'm going to create that sheen and that texture, and how I'm going to do it very quickly, is with a scumbling technique. And I'm using a smaller brush, and this is the under part of the painting is dry, and I'm controlling the amount of water that I have. So I'm dabbing often on a paper towel, and you're not seeing that, but that's how I'm using that. I'm scumbling the brush. And then in this section here, I'm going back, and my flower's not quite dry, so I'm just dropping in some pure pigment. And I'm going back and forth between the opera pink and some permanent rose, and I'm starting to incorporate some cobalt blue and some of the violet. And I'm using those sparingly, and I'm just scumbling along. And what I find interesting about this cluster of flowers is you get a couple different types. The flower in the foreground in the bottom, it's a very, very vibrant flower. And then the two flowers that are above it, they have almost a softer corally color in their petal. And it's just a little bit more faded. I didn't find those flowers as glossy. These were all together, so basically I photographed many of my flowers in my travels. A lot of flowers we grow in our own garden, and this photo is from my own reference photo, and you'll see it in a few minutes here. But these were all from the same plant. And now you can see I'm doing the same scumbling technique in the under part of the leaf. And this is just, it's methodical work. I'm doing it slowly. You're watching me paint in real time, and I'm careful. And know that I don't think you can necessarily make a mistake in watercolor that you can't fix at this point. Just go slowly, and if you don't like how sections were turning out, see if you can dab and lift some of the paint. You can do that with clear water. In the course of a painting this size and with this amount of detail, I might change the water once or twice. And here you can see I'm going back, and I'm starting to add some of the contrast. So I'm in the middle section of the painting, and I've done a lot of detail work. To this point, we've got the underpainting, we've got some scumbling layers, and now we're going to do another layer of just fine lines. These anthuriums, they have beautiful little lines. The flower in the front has lines that are more opera pink and permanent rose. And then the flowers above, their lines are a little bit earthier. They almost go towards a sienna color. And it's interesting how you get variation within the same plant. So I'm not using the same colors for each of the flowers, and this variation helps keep your painting interesting. I'm always looking for differences where I can just add a little bit of extra color that's a little bit different that will keep your eye moving around. So here's my source photo, and I removed the background. The background was very busy. And here you can see this is the middle point. This is where it's turning out. This is the color palette that I'm working with: the Permanent Rose, the Opera Pink, the Winsor Violet Dioxide, the Raw Sienna, the Permanent Sap Green, the Cobalt Blue, and then the Green Gold. So now it's time to do detail in the leaves, and I decided with this part, I looked at the film footage here and it was 19 minutes long, and I know that's quite a bit of time, so I thought to speed it up 5 times and you can just watch it come together quickly. But I'm looking at the individual leaves and I'm looking for color variation differences, and I'm varying my colors. And the color majorities that I'm using are Permanent Sap Green and the Cobalt Blue with a little bit of the Winsor Violet. This section here, I've gone back and I've added a little bit of a titanium white, and I'm using the fine point of my pen. I'm using the fine point of my brush, and I'm just adding these highlights. If you enjoy this painting, please like and subscribe and hit the bell notification. It helps my small channel to grow. And if you like this painting, you might like watching me paint my last floral, which was a pink orchid. You can view my original paintings at floravitalights.com, and you'll see that I also do reverse painted glass chandeliers. That's a specialty, and I ship them all over the USA, and I do oil paintings as well. Thank you for watching.